Another important direction, which is, we call it the color wheel nations. If you check how the corporate living and scheme been formed for the last century, you need to go a little bit behind that for another few hundred years. So from the year of 1700 to 1900, the population increased between 500 million up to 2 billion people. And after the oil discoveries and the modern healthcare funded all these things, and the government started to see the growth of the economy because of the oil, we have in less than 100 years the population increased by 6 billion people. So from 2 billion to 8 billion people, this is a huge responsibility on the government. So the government started to hire private sections. The private section started to take control of the economy. And since the Second World War, all the financial services become the center of attractions and running all the business we know today. Of course, in 100 years after the oil discovery, it was like a blood war. We had the First World War and the Second World War, and all these things happens for who will control these resources. And then when the private sectors took over, the government to take care of 6 billion people during that time of 100 years, education and healthcare, it couldn't cover the demand. In the same time, they had issues by having mass learning, mass healthcare and well-being. So there is no high standards as we think we need today. Before the 100 years, the possibility to live from 0 to 65 were minimal and less than what we have today because the amount of viruses and disease were more, so people they didn't have chances to live long. Now with the healthcare that happened, that's driven by government and private organizations, that give the chance that you have a safer life path, that you can live from 0 to 65 safely or beyond 65 if you are biologically already prepared for better life. Of course, the death has its own time, but this is, I'm talking now from a healthcare perspective. For education, with the 6 billion people, you cannot have all of them are businessmen and entrepreneurs. So the system become having this theory, library to labor. They need to build, they need to manage the resources and natures. So agriculture, healthcare, construction, all these things become in need for skilled workers. So if you go to the school from day one, they ask you in the school which job you like to have or what do you like to be when you are grown up. And then we have the status to be a doctor or an engineer or a lawyer, and now IT and high tech and AI. So that mold the people to be in indirect slavery system, but they still have the habit they want to feel like they can do something or grow or do something. So you become like a farm, putting all the chicken in one room, and then the chickens start to fight and rise above each other. So what we're trying to do now is to make sure that we come out of that mold. We know now how to educate ourselves. The communications and the connection between the whole world are open. We know all the stories and theories and who owns what. And we know that finance replaced curiosity. We know that control replaced morality. And power became the new global currency. And the private companies, they extract rentiers rather than reinvest in the commercials of the economy cycle. That also gives you an indication that the color wheel is not only for persons and corporate, it can go for countries. So for example, if you have the red color and the blue color representing power and politics and combined together is a strategy. So you can see, for example, that's between big countries like China, Russia, America, how it works. And then when you go for the countries who are more in yellow, like beauty and communications, you find, for example, Italy, Spain, and France. There are a theme or a scheme that you could feel it covers people. So some countries are more emotional, some countries are more thinkers, some countries are more feelers, and we'll come to that soon. All these things, when you put it together, that form culture. And that culture together, whether they evolve or clash, that depends on the context, how they live together, what are the mandates and the requirements for that group, and how this vision could form. So the corporate living is not only a code of conduct, it's a mix of economy, culture, personality, common goals, vision that put these things in a platform that creates harmony.